4 years ago, Jair Bolsonaro, a congressman from an obscure ultra-right-wing party, was considered anything but a presidential contender. But a long-running political and economic crisis in Brazil has transformed him from an eccentric into a potential savior for millions of Brazilians tired of crime, corruption, and liberal views.
You don't reduce violence with flowers. To be clear, weapons don't cause war, and flowers don't guarantee peace.
The views of Bolsonaro, a former army captain, make him stand out from the rest. He admires Brazil's and Chile's former dictatorships, condones torture, and supports arming ordinary citizens. He proposes obligatory birth control for poor people whose offspring he thinks wouldn't make good citizens.
I think that he walks on a very thin line of fascism, because even though he's not outspokenly fascist, he does mobilize fascist sentiments in the Brazilian society.
Bolsonaro says gays should be beaten into turning straight, and that most women deserve lower salaries than men and should stay home to care for their children. But Bolsonaro has tapped into the fears and frustrations of Brazilians, an anti-globalization, anti-establishment stance, not unlike Donald Trump or the Philippines' Rodrigo Duterte. His supporters joyfully mimic Bolsonaro's favorite gesture.
This is a gesture of combat against the criminals and corruption that has our country in tatters.
But Bolsonaro's strongest support comes from here. Brazil's large and influential Christian evangelical churches. They transcend racial and social lines and echo his belief that fundamental Christian values are under attack, especially from left-wing parties. Even though she doesn't like his sexist views, Brenda de ARAUJO says she'll vote for Bolsonaro.
My main reason is because of family values, the values of procreation between men and women, because we are losing those values.
And as elsewhere, here in the slums of Rio de Janeiro, Bolsonaro's vow to show no mercy against crime has won him applause. Murder rates here in Brazil have reached record levels, and so many people don't mind when he says things like, the only good criminal is a dead criminal. Nor are they frightened when he promises to put members of the military in his cabinet. His running mate is in fact a retired general who does not rule out military intervention if necessary. And yet nothing, including a near-fatal assassination attempt that hasn't allowed him to campaign for almost a month, can seem to diminish Bolsonaro's lead in the race to become Brazil's next president. Lucia Newman, Al Jazeera, Rio de Janeiro.